Good day and welcome to another edition of Caribbean House Talk. And Caribbean House Talk, we aim to bring you the issues from funny to curious to tearfully serious. In this edition of Caribbean House Talk, we're going to start off with our spicy dish segment. And spicy dish, we never know what's going to come out of spicy dish. Well, I know what could possibly come out of spicy dish because we put a number of topics in, and someone in the group and the cast would take something on spicy dish and we discuss them. We don't know if we'll get to all the topics in spicy dish, but we will get to some of them. So today, I'm going to ask my dear Caroline to pick out the first topic for spicy dish.
Hot, okay.
I don't know if it's hot, but...
Okay, today's topic. Airlines charging people to take their luggage and even carry-ons.
Yes. I had well, not me, but my sister had an experience where she was going to the South, and she took an airline which shall remain nameless. And it was a cheap flight, so she thought. So she took this airline, and she's like, oh, I got a cheap ticket. She got to the airport, and the check-in person said, well, you have to pay, I think it's $50. And she said, I only have carry-on. And yes, you got to pay for carry-on. And what do you guys think about that? That you're traveling someplace. You're not going to New Jersey. You're not going upstate New York. You're going to another, she was going to Georgia. And so, is it not unreasonable to expect that someone will travel long distance and not take luggage? Should that not be a part of your airline tickets?
I mean, I think that's why a lot of airlines, some of the so-called better ones, actually do, they charge you, but I think it should all be a part of the ticket. Just like you're saying, we shouldn't have to come up with extra money once we pay for our ticket.
Right. Is that not false advertising?
Totally.
That's what I think. It's false advertising. If I go to one of the bigger airlines, of course they charge that, but it's in there already. They're not pretending to give you a cheaper ticket and then knock you with $50 when you get to the airport. So I personally think it's false advertising because are you asking me to go without any clothing? What if I don't have that extra $50? And you're coming back, that's another $50. So you're talking $100 tagged on to this ticket.
I thought the $50 was the first initial fee was just for the first, like for the round trip.
No.
Going and coming.
Anytime,
you have
each
to
trip.
pay $50 each way. Oh my goodness.
That's false advertising.
I don't know that. I know that most of the airlines, they do have in small print when you have to pay for luggage. But I don't know if that was the experience of your sister.
I think you pay for I think all of them let you pay. What I'm saying is those ones that are, they're reporting, promoting themselves as cheap, extremely cheap, but then there's an extra $100 or so tagged on to that. I'd rather just know, okay, I got a ticket for $250, than, I got one for $150, but I end up paying $250.
Is it that we are not looking for the information when we reserve the ticket? Because my experience when I traveled to Florida, yes, I paid less for my ticket, but then in small print, they had the information that I needed to pay even for carry-on. So I think we need to take a look. I booked through a
third party, like a broker, right? Like one of those cheapo air type things. And so I think they said you would charge for luggage. So now my sister, I booked the ticket for her. So my sister said, okay, great. I'll just carry on. That way I don't have to pay. Only to find out they meant any type of luggage. And which I think, I don't know, I just think it's false advertising.
You know what? I think I would prefer if, like you said earlier, if the ticket itself just let me pay for my ticket, and that includes at least one baggage. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's still some that do it, but what's so hard is that the airlines are very inconsistent. You go to one airline, they may charge you $25 or $35 for the first bag. Another airline won't charge you any. And then you have this one that you're talking about, they're charging you $50 because they claim, our tickets are so cheap. In the end, you're paying almost the same thing.
Again,
for
false
all of
advertising.
Them. It's not.
False advertising.
Really
Extreme.
It's
not cheaper. It's not cheaper at all. And it was really, I mean, even another issue which was not in the spicy dish today, but airlines not feeding you when you're traveling over a certain amount of hours. I think that is shameful.
Yes.
But You go on Caribbean Airline. Caribbean Airline is from a poor country. They feed you.
Yeah.
They don't charge you extra for that false piece of luggage. Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's not walked in there somewhere, but it is understood that when you travel, you carry one free carry-on, one free piece of luggage. Your carry-on is free, and if you need extra, you have to pay. You have to take a second bag, or it's over a certain amount of weight, all right? And that I could understand, but I guess everything that glitters is not gold.
Wait, you said they feed you. What do you mean? Food?
You get food, honey. You
Like
get
a
food.
sandwich, something
You
like
get
that?
food. No.
Okay, and that's
We
what,
get-
like a 4-hour, 5-hour
A 4.5
flight?
hour flight,
Uh-huh.
and you get food.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know what's
decent
going
food.
on. I know there was some airline, I don't even want to
and you have
say
to
the
pay for it.
name, but real cheesy. You had to pay even for a soda. If you wanted water, a soda, you can't get anything on there free. 2 weeks ago when I flew to Vegas, that was like 5 hours, and the airline that we were on, they did give us soda, but it used to be you could get a can. They gave you a little tiny cup of soda that's filled with
Full of
ice,
ice.
and then they had the little cookies. I was grateful because I was on another cheap airline, like I said, that gave you nothing. You had to pay for everything that you wanted. So I don't know. They do need to do something about it. It's really disgusting.
that industry really is getting a little bit,
But I think
crazy.
going back to the Caribbean Airlines, because they catering to us and they know that we expect to eat something. And I know back in the days, we had an airline, Dominican airline, that served mango, which is a traditional dish from Dominican Republic, and everybody was happy. So they know.
I flew on TACA to go to Belize. I think I flew on TACA to go to Honduras, I think. I don't remember if that was TACA. But I know for sure I took TACA Airlines into Belize. And not only do they feed you, honey, the liquor is unlimited.
Wow.
Hey, the liquor is
What, the
included?
liquor?
You don't have to
Unlimited?
be first class?
No.
It's like
Wow.
a resort.
And I have this little queasiness when I travel, so I usually want some liquor.
You were settled then. You were settled.
I usually want some liquor. When I get on any of these airlines, the first thing I would do, not the first thing, if it's an early flight, no. But once it's a later flight, I have to get a little drink. I remember going to London, we went to London together. And the first trip I went to London, I think it was by myself. And I got like drunk. When I say drunk, not drunk, get up and make a fool of myself, just I was so nervous because it was like a 7 or 8 hour flight, and I thought, if this thing, and it was in the middle of all the terrorism stuff, and I thought, you know what, this shit blew up. I just don't want to know.
But you know what? You're speaking of that. What happened to having a movie or something on
Yes,
these
I
flights?
remember that
I
was
mean, it's
included.
because people bring iPads and laptops. Because that whole 5-hour flight, we didn't have our laptop. We didn't have anything with us, and so basically, all you do is like sleep. But they used to give you some entertainment.
We still get that at
Entertainment.
Caribbean Airlines,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, again, Caribbean Airlines feeds you.
And I think
And
JetBlue
there's
too.
these
JetBlue
other
would
ones
give you
that
that
are
too,
feeding
yeah.
you. JetBlue does have their TVs, their
And good leg
individual
room.
TV.
Oh, gee, I'm giving free promo to some of these airlines. The ones that I'm saying negative things about, I'm not going to call their names. I don't think it's fair. They're not here to defend themselves. But JetBlue does have great leg room. You do get TV. You do not get free food. And if they give you something, it's a little snack. Caribbean Airlines, I believe you do get TV. I do believe you get TV. I haven't traveled to them for a while. The leg room is not as good as JetBlue, but they do feed you well. And like I say, you get that free luggage, and you pay for extra weight or extra luggage, and I understand that. Now, in our fairness, though, those tickets are a bit pricey, but at least you're not going in thinking it's not pricey and then you charge these extra stuff. That's my problem. It's not like I'm saying that the other airlines are not charging us for luggage.
They are charging you. You
All
get
right.
what you pay for, basically.
So now I'm gonna have Miss Alma pick out the next topic
Okay,
from
here
Spicy
we
Dish.
go. The next topic is raising independent children.
Okay. That's an interesting one because at what point do we let go? It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. I mean, it took me, my daughter is now almost 32, and it took me probably until about 3 years ago to realize that she is my child, but she's not a child. So I would want to know if she was going on a date, where she was going. But you know, it was coming from a good place. It was more, I want to make sure you're safe. I don't know if you're going to meet some guy who might do harm to you, and I didn't know where you were going. So what I said to her was this: if you're going out with somebody that you don't know that well, make sure, maybe you don't want to tell me, tell your cousin, tell your friends, tell somebody so they know. Because if I go on a date, my children know. Not the little ones, but the older one would know. I would tell her I'm going on a date and I'm meeting such and such, so that she knows. God forbid this person is somebody who I didn't think he was, that she's aware, that I'm on a date. So I just feel like, sometimes it's coming from a good place, but I feel like what I realized after a while is like, you know what, you raise her well, and you don't want to cripple her. It's where she can't make decisions. Because for one thing, when she does get married, that husband is going to resent that she's coming to you for everything. And even if he doesn't resent it, what when I'm not here? So then, but it was a painful thing, but I had to let go. So now, she comes and goes, I don't really ask her. I just told her, keep yourself safe, make sure if you're going somewhere that you know who you're going with. And that somebody knows.
Raising independent children, no matter what, I would think, no matter what you do to them, what you do or what you say, or how you do your training or your raising of your children, if that relationship with your kids is strong, they would always come back regardless, no matter what they would do, no matter where they go. They know, they will make their decision, but they still want to hear that final yes or no or go ahead from
your
mom
approval.
or dad. Yeah,
your approval,
they do that. They come back. Because I've known people who have grown children who still call up and said, what do you think about such and such and such? Do you think this is a good idea? Even though they know they're going to do what they're going to do, they still want to hear that yes or no from mom or dad. So that's another thing about raising independent children. I guess they're independent enough to make their decision, but they still want that approval from their parents.
And you know what? I know, but my daughter, even though I say I pulled back, it doesn't mean that she doesn't. She will do that. She will, if something going on, whether it's some kind of stress in her life or just an opinion on something, she'll run it by me. But I don't go in unless she
want me to. Right.
You know what I mean? Because she's
like a springboard. She
right.
will use you as a bouncer.
Right. Right. And
say, okay,
I'm quite opinionated, so I had to kind of, balance myself a little bit, right? So I tend to say, okay, she's telling you something. She's not necessarily looking for you to figure it all out for her. She just want to bounce things.
She already know what she wants to do. She just want to hear you say your little piece, which makes it even a little more concrete for her, because even though she know her decision is already made and this is what I'm going to do, but let me hear what my mom thinks. What does she think?
Because she trusts your judgment. I mean, we're not going to lead these kids wrong. So what's your idea?
Well, you know what? Okay. So, but you're talking about from a child who's grown. A mom.
Grown one.
What do you think? You have a young son, and what do you think you should do to make him independent, to grow up independent?
Okay. I feel that I have to teach him to listen to his inner being, to know that the decision that he makes will be okay, and I will be there for him to listen to him, but not to guide him in any direction. Because when you're making a decision, you know what's best for you. You just go around collecting information, and at the end of the day, you're more confused. Because rather than listening to what the little voice is telling you what to do, you go around and you said, oh, should I do this and should I do that? And then you're not happy with your decision. So that's what I want him to know, but I can listen to him. So if he comes to me and says, Mommy, I have this problem, I would love to say to him, I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to hug you. I'm here to go with you through the journey, but I want you to make the ultimate decision, because that's how you're going to be happy.
Yeah. And that's important for independence. We are here to listen to our kids, give advice when advice is asked or when you really think it's needed, but you have to let them think for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way that they're going to grow. And you know, the thing is, a lot of times we, I think, as mothers, we're very protective of our
Very,
children.
too much.
You know, and we don't want them to make mistakes, but they have to be able to make mistakes. We all made mistakes. We don't want them to deal with the big things that we may have done, but children have to make mistakes because that's how you grow and that's how you learn, you know, from those mistakes.
That's
You
true.
know,
I can vouch for that.
Mhm.
We are in the middle of mistake making period right now.
yeah, teenager.
Oh yeah. No, the past teenage. Yes. And then
You mean
the
it doesn't
20s
get
now.
easier?
No, it does not get any easier.
Oh my God.
This is the beginning of the breakdown part of the making period in your life. They have serious mistakes between 15 and 30, and we are in the smack dead middle of making mistakes right now because my kids are doing nothing but making mistakes right now at this point in time
Your
of their
boys?
life. Yeah, good and bad. Yeah, good mistakes.
And they're gonna make, and they're
But
gonna
you
do
know
that. I
what?
don't care whose
All
kid, they're
this
gonna do that.
is
but-
gonna make them so stronger because they are learning a lesson for life. They are learning to trust themselves and to know when to do and don't do the right and wrong things. They're in the learning process. And I said all the time, they have to do this. This is the time in their life when they have to make this kind of mistake, because if they don't do it now, somewhere down the road they're gonna end up doing it, and then it's gonna be worse than if they're doing it now because they have us now as a bounce off.
Right.
We're here for them. My husband and I, they could come and ask us anything. We're there with them. We're going with them. We're helping them out. But when we're not around and they're making these mistakes, who do they have? Nobody.
Right, so I think that's
So-
even more important why it's good to raise them independently.
independently.
And only. All right,
Yeah,
so Amalfi, you
they're
got the
doing-
last
they're
one?
doing fine.
We're gonna,
Okay, let's see what we have here. And the last topic is sending money to our country.
oh
So-
Lord.
So explain that because
Okay, so you're not from the Caribbean,
Yes.
so many of us, we send money home to our relatives. Like my mother, before I do anything, it is a particular time of the month, I send her money to her. Western Union, MoneyGram, whichever is closest or easiest. And people send not just for that, like my mom, I send for my mom. If relatives need assistance with something and I can help, I help. But you have people who just, I don't know if we give the wrong impression here, that money's falling in the streets in America. But sometimes I think we go similarly along the line of what we're talking about. We might cripple people by just doing too much for them. Instead of giving a man a fish repeatedly, I think you teach them how to fish. I remember some years ago, I had a family member who was going through some issues, and I assisted where I could, but my thing was to set this person up with a business so that she can take care of herself and her family, not continue. So I think there is a way in which you can help people constructively, but not necessarily handling it. Because here it's like we are always like, the Caribbean, you go to Brooklyn, you go to the shipping companies, and there are thousands of people, they're shipping stuff, You go to Western Union, they're sending. You go to MoneyGram, where they're sending money. And it's a beautiful thing that we're able to help. But sometimes you wonder if we're giving a wrong impression of how things are in America. Sometimes we're not going through easy times here ourselves.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with that, I would think most of the time the mothers sending money back home for their children.
That's
Children
different.
that they
You are
have.
entitled to do that.
Totally
I wouldn't even
different.
put that in the picture.
No?
I wouldn't even put that in the picture. If you're a mother, you need to send money for your children. That's your responsibility. And let's say, it's not, you know that it's not unusual that mothers from the Caribbean come here
Oh yeah.
and they leave their children behind with an aunt or a
That's
grandmother.
what I'm saying, right.
Okay? So you don't have a choice. That is your responsibility. That is off the table. We're talking about, and not even parents, because like my mom, I'm going to do for my mom. I mean, I feel like she took care of me when I was little.
I feel the
And in
same
her
way.
old age, I want to make sure she's comfortable. So I don't look at,
That's a given.
yes, I give
We
it.
do.
So I don't think the parents, the children, but I'm not saying people shouldn't send. Don't get me wrong. I just think that's something we need to do it a little bit differently. Like, you have somebody who have an immediate need, you take care of the immediate need, but look at ways you can help them start a cottage industry, something to help themselves, not just keep sending, and the person's life doesn't make any better.
Yeah, but isn't that something?
Maybe you don't have relatives there, but I'm telling you, for people who have brothers, sisters, it's a constant,
No.
you know.
Yeah,
My brothers and sisters
but-
are very independent. They don't bug me for anything. I have my nephews. If I want to help them with something, I do. But I'm not obligated. They don't put that kind of pressure on me. But I see it with people a lot.
But I
From
don't
the
think,
Caribbean.
I really don't think that there's people out there who constantly sending money home to their brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and stuff like that.
Maybe not aunts and uncles, but
Unless they
definitely.
have some kind of child or helping with something in the home, or they helping to build something.
No. I can tell you right now
I can
that
tell you that there's
you
people.
don't have like brothers and sisters there,
No.
correct? They're all here. That's why you're not identifying with this. But I'm telling you, from looking at people who do have brothers and sisters, my family, they're okay. My sisters are incidents and they have jobs and they're able to, take care of their families and so forth. So I don't necessarily have that issue. And if, again, don't get me wrong, if they were in a situation where they needed my assistance, then no, they got it, But I wouldn't help them to just be dependent. And you see that a lot with people just helping to be dependent. People to be dependent. You're not helping that person.
And that's
Okay, but then who's at fault then? My thing is, if your goal is, I'm going to send money to help you build and establish something, shouldn't you be pointing that fact out? If you're at fault too, because you're not saying this is
No.
what I want you to
Yeah.
do. This is how I want to help you. How I want you to establish something there. All you're doing is just sending out money, and then in some instances, sending money and complaining about it. I don't have people, in another country, but it happens here. It happens everywhere where you're basically enabling. Your relatives.
That's true. It happens here.
Because
It
you're not
happens here
trying
because
to.
we
You're
have-
not trying to help them to build. And yes, in other countries they think that here in America you have it all and you have money and you can just send. But guess what? Here in America, when you have some relatives here, have relatives in the South and all that, they think the same thing. Just being in New York, you have all this money. You can just send to me. You can just send to me. At some point, you can't be an enabler. You
Yeah.
have to say, I know we don't want our families to do
suffer.
to struggle or suffer, but you have to set a precedence and say, this is what I'm giving you money for.
Yeah,
I want you to try to do this and that.
I think a lot of times
You know?
we're thinking it, but we don't say it.
And maybe on some part, there's maybe some kind of guilt, like on your part, where you feel like, well, I'm here in America and I have this, and they're not doing so well, so you feel like obligated or guilt that you have to do it, which is okay. You do want to help, but you have to enable people to build themselves too.
Well, that is so true. I think what you're saying is true, that we might be thinking that, okay, I'm going to help her and she's going to get on her feet. Maybe she isn't going to get on her feet, and maybe we need to say that up front. But I do believe in that whole concept of you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So I think sometimes we mean well, but we need to be thinking a little bit differently in terms of how we help people. We could help, but help in a
But
productive
it
way.
becomes a pattern. Like
Yeah.
with my mother, she has about 6 sisters and brothers in Dominican Republic, and it's repetitive. It becomes a pattern. So and they always have a problem. So one problem, oh, my kids are sick. The next month, I am sick. So it never ends. So I told my mother, it's either you going to end it yourself, because the problems will never end over there, or make the decision of sending them money every month.
Right.
And that's probably what she does. Behind, she doesn't
She
tell
doesn't
me.
tell
but
you,
yes,
yes.
She knows.
I don't
how-
always tell my kids what I'm
Yeah,
doing either,
I know.
otherwise they get a little worked
Yeah,
up.
because we get worked up, but I
Yeah.
don't get involved anymore, because that's her relationship with her
Right.
siblings. I don't get involved. But now, because technology has makes it so easy, now we have Zoom.com where we can send
Pop the money to them.
right
Using our
away.
smartphones.
And
Yeah.
smartphone and it's very easy without thinking.
All right. Well, We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go into something we call their help team. So we'll be right back. I'm Trish.
I'm Mountain.
I'm Irma.
And I'm Caroline.
And we are the Caribbean House Talk. Welcome back to Caribbean House Talk. We are getting ready to do our Dear Help Team segment of the show. And for the audience, if you have any issues that you want a help team to weigh in on, you can email us at I'm sorry, getting it wrong already. CUEXNET@gmail.com. That's QXNet@gmail.com. That's C again, UEXNET@gmail.com. You can send us your issues, your questions, and we will give you our undivided attention and our opinion. So for Dear Help Team, I need your help with something.
Okay.
I made an observation of something last week. There was a lady who I know, of course I'm not going to call her name. I was passing by this person's house and they were mowing the lawn. Now, if it's me, I don't have a man here, so I couldn't mow my lawn. Perhaps if my husband is sick or he's out of town, I could mow the lawn. So I said, oh, where is such and such? You know, meaning the husband. And she goes, oh, he's in front of the TV with a bear. And I said, when he's sick, what sick? He's in there with a bear. I said, drinking a beer. And I just want to get you guys' opinion. If I'm the only person that this really rubbed the wrong way. Of course, I didn't say anything.
Maybe she needed to walk out.
Let me.
I would just say,
Let me say this. There's circumstances that could call for someone to have a woman, where a woman is cutting the grass. She's by herself. Husband might be in the Navy, or he works out of state, or he's sick. That's fine. But if I find myself in a house where I'm cutting the grass and a male is sitting in front of a TV with a beer in his hand, it's a wrap. Simple, it's a wrap. Because what is the point? I mean, I want to hear you guys' feedback. Again, there are extenuating circumstances where that could happen. But the scenario I just played out there, what would you feel? Your husband is able-bodied, he is healthy, and you as a woman is mowing the lawn. And that's the second time I saw that. And in both cases, don't get on me now, Caribbean male. In both cases, they were Caribbean males, where the woman were mowing the lawn and the male did not seem to have a problem with it. My first time was years ago, maybe like nearly 20 years ago. And then this last time, it just brought that back to me, and I thought, wow, this just doesn't sit right with me.
It could be for some legitimate reasons. Maybe the man is sick.
No, I said that. I said,
You did say
no,
that.
I said, if he's sick, because I asked her, it struck me as so ridiculous that I said, why, is he sick? And she said, no, he's in there with his feet up watching, with a bear, watching
But then
TV.
something is wrong. Something is wrong with that relationship.
Okay, so this is
Something
not
definitely
illness,
wrong.
okay?
Or
This is
maybe
not, I'm out of town, I'm in the
She have a
Navy.
choice to either do it herself or have it done by someone else. Pay somebody. Do it
As a
with the
man,
garden
you
or
might be
something.
tired. Here's the thing, you might be tired and you don't
Maybe
do
she
it,
wanna
but
do
you
it.
ought to pay to get it done. And I'm
Maybe she
sorry,
wanna do it.
I'm sorry, but if you're any kind of man, you should not let neighbors see your wife cutting the grass, knowing that she has a man, something that's supposed to be a man,
So
living
she
in that
wanna
house.
rebel in some way against this guy.
Again, I know that is typical.
Why would you
male
rebel? Why would you
You
rebel
don't know.
by doing something like that?
Oh, you don't know.
Oh, I don't think
the
so.
end that some women.
I
get.
don't think so.
You don't know.
I don't think so. That's a stupid way to
my
rebel.
goodness. Whoa. There's a lot of stupid ways out there that people do. Things.
No, I don't think so. I
Well,
don't think so.
You know who you're talking about. You
Yeah,
might know
that-
the
I don't know so.
circumstances
You might know
work.
the relationship that they're in.
Exactly.
But I think she's enabling him to
I could do those things, if I have to, but there will not be a male
But
living
there's
in my
some women
house
who
But
does
it's,
while I'm doing
you know,
that.
and
feel
it's,
good doing it.
yeah,
Some
and
women
it's what
just
you
really
allow.
wanna-
It's what you
Just-
allow. It's
yeah,
what we
it's
allow.
what you
you
allow.
do.
If you,
And I would think that she's doing that for some kind of compromise in some way or form.
Come,
Something.
explain.
I understand what you're saying. Like what? Maybe I know that it's a
I-
male
I
role
could go
to
into
do the
deep
lawn,
stuff,
but maybe he's
but-
doing something else at home. We don't
Yeah.
know. What's
Maybe
Unless I
It
just
could be a
let me tell you
compromise.
how I would
Or
do
it
that.
could be, listen.
And the way she answered it didn't seem to me like that's what was going on. But the only how I would do that, let's say I just happen to want to have a walkout, and he cooks and he cleans and he does my laundry and he brings me a cup of tea in bed. Well,
Hey.
yes,
Yeah.
you understand? Maybe I could,
You
but
don't know what's going on inside the house. You don't
I don't
know
know,
the
that
reason why
just-
she's out there pushing that lawnmower. Or it could be that she's doing this as a gel in the relationship to make him feel that he is needed or he's wanted, and I'll do anything to keep you, I'll do anything to have you. You don't know what some woman does go through with men on a whole to keep a relationship together. Because at the drop of a hat, they bust it.
guys, let me just say
Yeah.
this. Oh dear, I have to be decent with this.
Yeah. Try.
If
but
all I need is
you see,
a
don't put-
body attached to a certain appendage, I could buy one.
Listen, don't put you in the picture because you wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't do it. These ladies will not do
wouldn't
it.
do it.
But there are women out there who would do it.
And then
Because
something
I
is
have-
wrong with their self-esteem.
Exactly.
So there are women out there would do it, but
I
it's
know
not coming
there's
from a healthy
lady
place.
right now who is suffering because her husband walked out on her, and she think her life is over, and all she's doing is crying for the past 2 months. That's all she's doing is crying, and
But-
it get to the point
Mhm.
that even the people around her, like, what's wrong with you? It's been too long. He's gone. Let it go. But she think that
Okay, but
that's
you
the
see,
end of
maybe
her
she
life.
was even one of those women that would do anything to keep him. It's
That's
not
what
going to
I'm
keep that
telling you.
person.
That's what I'm telling you. That woman would mow that lawn to keep that man in the house.
But he still went.
He left.
Okay?
Oh
He
yeah,
left,
he left.
You know?
So
I mean, what's your
you
take
don't
on this,
know.
Caroline? No, you
You
two
don't
are married. Me and
know.
Amalfi, we're not. We were both married. I was married twice. You were married, but we're now single. So if we're going to mow our own grass, that's fine. But I do not need a male with his feet up in my house. This is why I'm going to be single for a very long time.
no,
In my
no,
house,
I
while
agree. I agree.
I'm on the lawn. That's just
I
having
agree.
that appendage attached to a body. And that's not what all
Well,
that, because I can buy one.
I totally agree. That would not happen in my household. One, I wouldn't put up with it because I'm not gonna sit here and mow lawn or shovel snow, and my husband is sitting in the house, drinking whatever beer and watching TV. I would not allow it, but also my husband would never do that either.
Thank you, because he's a man.
Okay?
Because he's a man.
He's not gonna have his wife outside doing all that layman work and him sitting inside. Whether it's built inside of him, which in his case I think it is. That's the way his mentality works. He's not gonna let that. Or the fact that your neighbors are watching your
What
wife
kind of a man are you?
slaving outside and your butt is home inside. that
Inside and watching.
house.
The,
It would never
the
happen.
first time I saw this was nearly 20 years ago, and it was another Caribbean male with a wife outside. And this, according to my American friend, this was she called me one day and she goes, "Trish, watch over there, watch." And I said, "What?" He said, "See there? She's mowing the lawn." I said, "Maybe the man is sick." She said, "Girl, the man is sick. The man is in there drinking." She said, "That's what she does all the time. It wasn't a one-time thing."
You see what
And
she's
as an
every
African
man.
American, as
She's an every
an
man.
African American, she was just shocked that men,
Do that.
that someone called himself a man would do that.
But
You know,
we
because
allow
her
that.
husband and
We
her
allow
were
that.
separated. But you know what? That man would come near and cut that grass for her.
Mhm.
He would still do certain
Because
manly
that's what
things in
men
the
do.
house, right?
That's what real men do.
So,
Yeah, and if they can't do it themselves, they'll pay to get it done.
yeah, pay to get a dance.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what I used to do.
so I didn't hear your thing on that.
But I think that it depends on the relationship. I really don't want to
Yeah.
say that it's wrong or right. Maybe they have an agreement going on. Maybe there's something that he's doing and she's doing that because she chooses to do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would think so too.
This
I
is
really
my last
feel
word on
way.
that. This is my last word on that.
That
If
was-
you find yourself in the same house with an able-bodied male, healthy, present in the house, and he has his feet up, drinking beers, and you are mowing the lawn or any kind of manly walk,
Something.
go down to 42nd Street, make a purchase, and get rid of him because he is not even as good as that. And you guys, the grown people, you get what I'm trying to say. You don't need that.
Wait,
That is not a man.
Let me add one other thing, because you're saying a person's husband, but that also goes for children, okay? You have boys, who are, they're at an age 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, whatever. They need to have some responsibility and some work. I'm
Yes,
not going to
'cause
sit
that's
in the
what
house
created that.
and mow lawn or snow, shovel snow when I have a young son in the house. Let him get his behind out there and do it. He needs to do it.
Otherwise, he
Just
turn out like that
Take
guy.
the garbage. You put the garbage out. I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
it's never gonna happen.
Well, because
So-
that's how we got that situation. With
Yeah.
that man, clearly he was not raised up in a home probably where that sort of thing was done.
Exactly, and his if he has children, he has sons, daughters. The son will repeat the same
The
kind
same
of
pattern. Mhm.
behavior. So
All right, so on to our next topic. Tracking devices on children's phones. If you have your pre-teens, is it okay to put a tracking device on their phones? 'Cause you know,
Yes,
they get a little sneaky around that age. They get a little
Yes.
sneaky. So
It depends
should
on
we
their
put a
activities.
tracking device
It really
on these
depends.
children's
say
phones?
yes.
It really depends.
I'll say yes.
I
Because
think it depends.
So I'm gonna give you
on-
my opinion last.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Omar?
I think it depends on
Preteens, not your 20-something-year-olds.
Well, they were preteens before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it all depends on the action that they are taking after school, where they go, how long it takes them to come home. You have to watch them for a while before you even put that thing there, because they would put that phone somewhere and you wouldn't know. You would think they're in one spot and they're gone.
Mm-hmm. Well, then they lose their phone because somebody will take the phone.
No, they would be smart enough to know not to put that phone where somebody can take it. Okay? That phone could be in a nice, secure spot and you think that person is there, that child is there, but then he gone do his thing and then he's going to come back, pick up his phone and come home. So,
Listen,
I don't
listen,
think
you
it
can't-
all depends on
You
the
can't.
child.
It's not fail-proof. Yes, a kid could find some way to scam you, but if your
Then
kid have a
come
decent
around
phone,
you.
he ain't trying to put that phone any place. The thing is this. You have to know the child. I'll give you an
Exactly.
example. In February, my son had a young friend that was killed right out the street. Going to school, a car just killed her, and she was a twin in front of her twin sister. Devastated. The mother, we
Yeah.
became friends because of the tragedy. I still keep in touch with her, try to keep her spirits up the best I can. The reason that I thought of that, a couple of weeks before, my son, my 12-year-old, was in that same spot, which is a tricky spot to cross, because he came out of the back gate of the school and went over there with a friend. His dad was supposed to pick him up. His dad couldn't find him. He called me. We both for a couple of minutes trying to figure out where is this kid. Eventually, he must have realized the phone is ringing. He answered the phone. He said, "Where are you? Dad is looking for you in front of the school." Oh, I'm in front of this area. I said, "Where are you? What are you doing there?" "I wanted to follow my friend home." "Well, what the hell are you, his bodyguard?" No.
Then
2 weeks
that
later-
child need a
2 weeks
tracking
later-
device.
His friend got killed in the same spot.
That child
I'm like,
need a
"No, I
tracking
need to know
device.
where you are."
Yeah. That one need a
So that's
tracking
what I'm saying. We're not talking older children. We're not
Yeah.
talking older children. We're talking preschool. Because they
I
are
think-
sneaky. They're good kids. Don't get me. My son is a beautiful child. But they don't know what's good for them sometimes. And you can't just trust that they would,
Yeah.
use
not-
good judgment. They're
Not,
kids.
not
That's
only
true.
that, but
Kids.
times have changed. When we were younger, we didn't have this whole cell phone thing running
No, we
around,
didn't
you
want
know,
the cell phone.
and people were different then too. Right now, we're in a state where everything is so unsafe and so unsure, you know, and our children's minds in certain ways don't change, but we all think we can get away with certain things, or we can go here, and we don't think about the danger. As kids, they don't always think about the danger. So yeah, I'm definitely for tracking devices. And not only that, let me just say something else. You're saying a preteen. People are giving their children cell phones at a younger age. You have 7-year-olds who walk around with a cell phone.
What
Okay,
is
And
it?
it's
and
a
so
safety
if you're going to
sometimes.
do that, then you have to have some kind of safety device for your children. Tracking is not just for let me watch where they go because I care, but it's also if it's stolen. It's also for many other reasons. So yes, I do believe you do need a safety device for the children. You don't have to tell them. You didn't have to tell your
They would
son he
know.
had one.
They would
That's
know.
true. Because now it's kids stressing, you know?
Yeah.
They would know they have it. They have to find
You
things out.
don't always know.
You don't always know. My mouth,
Yeah,
my
we're
mouth
computer
open and
people.
story
You
fell
can
out.
put stuff on there and they'd never know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have known. What is your take on that, Amalfi?
Well, my son is only 8, but when the time comes, I'm definitely putting in something in there for him, mainly for safety because I want to know where he is, and also because of all the media that we get. You don't know what he's going to be watching. You don't know what. I think that there's not a lot of restrictions. So I want to make sure that I restrict him because I feel that he doesn't have the knowledge to deal with certain information.
Right, he's still young.
He's still
We're
young.
just trying to keep them safe. All right, on to another topic. Food. This week something interesting happened. And it's not unusual because it happens quite frequently. I went to my mother's house and she made a good pot of chicken feet soup. We could say chicken foot soup. Real delicious. She boiled it like really, really soft. And let me tell you, that thing is delicious. And it dawned on me that a lot of Caribbean people, and people in the South, we eat a lot of stuff that people up north would turn their noses at. And sometimes when we're in front of the Northerners, we kind of want to act like we don't eat that stuff, you know. But let me tell you,
Same.
my mama had some of the best chicken foot soup you ever want to taste. And I took seconds and I took turns. Yes, there it is, folks. I said it in front of America and the world. I ate some chicken foot soup from my mama. And people eat things, as you guys know, like cow's feet, pig's feet, pig head, goat head, tripes, or what you guys call chitlins, tongue. What do you guys think about that? So, Alma, let me go to you, who's from the Caribbean, and we'll just make our way up this way.
I've never, ever, ever had chicken foot soup, chitlins, tongue. What else it is?
Pig's head, pig's feet,
pig feet,
cattle
goat head, goat feet, cattle.
You have never?
ever,
You
ever,
wait.
never in
You-
my life.
You grew up in St. Vincent,
Anything. Yep.
and you have never eaten that?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, my mother would kill animals. You know, like she loved lamb. She would kill a lamb, and people would take the stuff. She never eat it either. I didn't grow up with
So it
her
was part of
making
the
that.
home.
So
Right.
to me, that's out the door. I've never ever had that kind of food.
Oh,
Never.
you need to try it.
Never.
To try it. Now the only thing that I noticed with the chicken foot, it looked like if it's a hand.
Nasty.
It is.
No, I've never
It's
had that.
delicious.
I
Let
love
me tell you.
I love to take each one of them. I love the tribe. In Dominican Republic, we eat a lot of tribe.
Yeah.
And it's known that organ foods, they have a lot of nutrients.
I will be honest and say
That's
that you see
true.
the chicken foot
That's true.
is not something that I ate in St. Vincent before I came here. That I would
I've
admit.
never had
So
it.
when I went back a couple of years ago and my mom made it and we had some friends visiting from New York and my mom offered them some. This is what brought this up for me. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, don't give the guests that, and they loved it.
Wow.
And I loved it. And then I was like, I'm just gonna eat. So whenever she cook it, she called me and I go over and I have my little chicken foot. It's very good. But I brought it up to say that I know something that you genuinely sound like you didn't eat
I
that.
never had it.
Um,
The only thing I had was
But you
pigtail.
are the anomaly coming from the Caribbean.
Pigtail, Oh, yes.
Wait, what's
Oh,
trite?
you eat pigtail.
What
Okay.
is
I
what
eat
part
pigtail.
of the organ? What is trite?
The intestine.
I mean, I
Chitlins.
see it. I just don't know.
Yeah,
It's the
chitlins.
Oh, you
intestine.
call it chitlins. Okay.
We
All
call it
right.
tripe.
Well, I grew up here, and of course, here having my dad Southern, we ate. Well, I didn't eat any of it, but he cooked pig feet. He cooked pigtails. He cooked chicken feet. Oh, I couldn't touch it. He cooked that.
Oh, girl, you
He
don't know what
had,
you're missing.
What else you had on that list, man?
Um,
They cook all of that
Pig
stuff.
feet, pig head, goat head, chicken feet.
Yeah, they had
cow
all
feet.
of that. I just don't
chitlins.
eat none of that stuff. No.
Oh God, it's
But
some
yeah,
pretty people.
I'm gonna tell you though. I'm
I
gonna
love
tell you what. As a kid, what I was embarrassed of. My mom, family from Barbados. Okay, Friday is fish day, right?
Oh,
And then
no.
other days you have fish, but Friday is traditionally fish day, So my mom would make some kuku, and then she'd
Oh.
make some steamed stew fish with it, and I have friends come in, they go, "What's that smell?"
Yeah.
And I was so embarrassed. And she has this kuku out and the fish, and they're like, "What is that?" That's a traditional kind of a dish, but that kind of thing actually embarrassed me. Everybody around me knew about pig feet and chitlins and that stuff.
So the
But
fish
it was more.
embarrassed you more than with the.
Yes,
oh.
it did.
Because of the
fish,
smell
but
or the head? Because she used.
I guess it was just the fish itself. I don't know if they were used to having fish made in that way. Like most people, they would just have fried fish.
Fried fish.
But this is stew fish. But also, it's just seeing the cuckoo, which is just what is
Cornmeal.
it? Cornmeal.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
it's-
look
it's
at
something you
what
make
are
a- you make a
eating
cornmeal,
that,
yeah.
for dinner and stuff like that. It was stuff like that that
So the
that
friends
So
kind of.
did you eat it
embarrassing.
behind back? Did you eat it? You tell me you never had some.
I ate it, but I think as I got older, I appreciated it more. When I was younger, I didn't want to eat it, And then with my kids, when my mother would cook for my kids, they got used to it. They loved it. But as a child, I didn't want to do it because my friends didn't know anything about it. And like, remember, I told you last time, we were like the only family growing up in Queens, St. Albans, in that neighborhood. We were like the only family of Caribbean background. So a lot of the things that we had in our household that we ate, my friends would come in and they kind of turn their nose, not to be snobbish, but because they didn't understand. They didn't eat those things. They didn't do it. The music, the culture, and all of that. So it made me kind of shy away because I didn't want my friends to not like me because
You're weird. You did
yeah,
some weird
we're
stuff.
strange. And we had
It's
strange
delicious
music
stuff.
or whatever, or strange food in our house. So.
But I think we all, in a way, experience that. Like, you've never, I find it hard to believe this Vincentian person have never eaten
never
that
did.
stuff.
Never did.
Because I had some pig feet sauce and pig head and, whew,
Sauce.
House, that's
I couldn't have sauce.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got to take some water to
tradition.
think about that.
Sauce is
Oh,
not
okay,
my.
either.
Ugh. My mother never really make it because really, basically, it was just her and I growing up home because most of my siblings are way older than me.
You know what too? If she was butchering, she probably didn't need to take that stuff.
No,
she probably still
we
that
would do
goes.
that
So,
like on major holidays, like Christmas. She would kill something because we used to have a lot of animals, and she loved lamb. My mother loved the lamb, the leg. She loved
I
that.
like a lamb, yeah.
She would give away the whole sheep and keep that little leg right there, and she's happy with that. But when we kill stuff, mostly she would give it to people who can't buy. My mother was a giver. She gave.
And you being the last one, you were like a little
Yeah, so what
spoiled
about like
child, so-
your relatives? You
You
never
didn't see your
seen
relatives
anybody
eat it?
eating
in
these things?
Beaumont?
The funny thing is, my relatives, people would eat it.
Oh, okay.
People around me
Okay.
would eat
So
it.
you know that
But
people
not
ate
nice,
that
no.
stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're gonna
People
develop
eat
the
it.
pattern of your mother. Like with me, I don't eat pig feet. I don't eat pig guts. I don't eat chitlins or cow feet. So my children don't eat it because I don't eat it. I
Because
don't cook it,
you
and
don't
that's
cook it.
probably what
That's
happened
what
with
happened
you.
to me. Yeah. People around me
So
would eat it.
yeah.
I don't
know
cook
people
it
would eat it.
because I don't think I could cook. I don't think I would do justice to the thing the way my mama does. But when she gave it to me, and she knew I like it so much, she would call me and say, they call me by my middle name, Hava. She goes, Hava, I made some soup. You want to come over and get some? She said, you going to come over later? I said, no, you'll probably see me tomorrow. I make some soup. Like, all right, I'm right over.
That's not good.
I'll be right over. That's how bribe to get me over there fast. But you know, it's just interesting, these cultural things. And not to get into history, because my kids always kind of look at me as a kind of history buff, but what that came from, eating those parts of the animals, is something that happened during slavery, where these parts of the animals were reserved for the slaves because they weren't good enough to eat the good part of the food that the master and his family was eating. So he would give them the tongue, the head, the foot, the skin, the whatever, the guts, things, anything that they did not want. And you have to give credit to our people that they were able to take something like that or those types of things and create delicacies out of them. And most people, even people that didn't grow up at that stuff, when they taste it, they have to admit that these things are really delicious. I have to still tell you guys, I am going to get some of my mama chicken foot soup. You will eat it.
I don't think I'll eat that now.
All right, we're going to take a break and come right back with the news. I'm Trish.
I'm a mountain.
I'm Irma.
And I'm Caroline.
And we are the Caribbean House Talk. Welcome back to Caribbean House Talk. In this final segment, I just want to touch on a few news items that we heard earlier. Some US based, some in the Caribbean. And it's a story that we're following out of the Caribbean. A gentleman who is a singer, a calypsonian, Paul Scrub. He was visiting his relatives in the island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and spent 5 weeks there and was not arrested or watched that anybody knew of. When he was leaving, he was stopped at the airport, he was arrested, he was kept in jail over the weekend. He was taken to courts on Monday where he was released, but his travel documents were seized, so he cannot travel out of the country. And his case was postponed 3 months into 3 months from now. So he's have to sit there with no travel documents. And Mama, during the break, you were asking a question.
No, I was just asking, even though he is released, he can't leave the country.
No, because his travel
Why?
documents were seized.
That's crazy.
They're saying that he made a threat on Facebook towards the Prime Minister and his family. And I was saying earlier, I don't know how you prove that. With Facebook, he's saying it was not him, that his account was hijacked, and his lawyers, he was not able to. I tried to reach him for comments. He said he was advised by his attorney not to speak to anyone, and that's understandable. But until this is resolved, I mean, they could keep holding this man there forever.
Wait,
And
but is he from
St.
here,
Vincent.
or
He's from St.
he's
Vincent.
originally St.
Yeah,
Vincent.
yeah.
And he was living here
Living here and just
in
there on
the
vacation.
States,
Yes.
and went there on vacation.
Hmm. And many people believe that this is a way of intimidating people in the diaspora who are vocal against the Prime Minister and his regime. So they feel that if he does this, it's going to send a message to those out here who are criticizing him. Oh, be quiet, otherwise, this could happen if you come home.
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
And so this man, stays there. And in the meantime, there was a cyber bill that was passed in the House on, I believe it was on Thursday. Friday or Thursday. I think it was Friday. It was Thursday. It was passed, and the language in the bill, from what I'm hearing, is so vague that basically if someone feel that you said something that offended them or made them feel a particular way, you could be charged $200,000. You could be put in jail. It is bringing outcry.
So
This is what many believe, and including myself, that this is an attempt to muzzle people.
You can't say anything now.
You can't say anything. You're free. There's no freedom of speech if you are not able to criticize
Censoring
someone.
people, basically.
Yes. So
Do they have any organization getting involved to represent
yes,
him?
I know there are a number of organizations that have written. One of them is Reporters Without Borders, who have written the Prime Minister. And of course, he responded in a very, very eloquent letter. But the bottom line is you're trying to stifle people's ability to speak freely.
Freedom.
And I always feel this: as long as someone is not inciting violence, you're not doing anything illegal, you should have that basic right to be able to speak freely and sometimes very strongly, you know, but apparently this Prime Minister does not like being criticized, and so he has taken this move, which many are seeing as an intimidation attempt for people in the diaspora. Well, thank you for joining us at this edition of Caribbean House Talk. It was an enlightening show, at times funny, at times spirited. I want to thank my co-hosts, Carolyn, Amalfi, and Irma.
We have to have something traditional from Trish before we end this show. So we're going to give this a few minutes. We're going to take a quick break and let her set up and do something in the kitchen for us.
Yes. Thank you, ladies, for putting me on the spot. I'm Trish.
I'm Amalfi.
I'm Irma.
And I'm Caroline.
And we are the Caribbean House Talk. Welcome back to Caribbean House Talk. Now, for our final segment, I've always been telling these ladies about my moringa tea. Moringa is a plant that's, I don't know if it's tropical, but it's something I know that they have in South America, Central America.
How do you
and
say
now, moringa,
Moringa.
Moringa. Moringa. Not moringa
Like a dance?
no, moringa. And so, I'm always telling you guys of my moringa. I can't start my day without it. That's my cup of coffee. I drink at least 2 to 3 cups of moringa a day, and I feel that it's reported to have about 30 major medicinal value or benefits.
Wow.
But I could tell you that it's kept me calm. You know, I'm a woman of a certain age, and so you know those little private summers, those little hot flashes. I think it helps with that and a lot of other things. So I just want to let you guys see how I get this. So I get the dry leaves. Right, and here's a dry leaf. Okay.
And can you purchase that at any store?
No, I planted this. I have this planted in St. Vincent.
Oh.
And my property there. So what I do before I do anything, I order the tea bags. Okay, and I have a singular tea bag here, and I clean it out first. But I don't throw these away. These are the little stalks because I'm told that even these little stalks, they have medicinal value. So I save them, and I just go through basically and just pick out any little piece of stalk, pick them all out, and then I just stuff them into these tea bags that I buy. And I make it, I typically use the smaller tea bags, but if you use the big one, it's equivalent of having 2 cups. And I usually, you gotta pull it tight, and you can tie it just to keep it kind of, and it comes out, this one got messed up a little bit, but it comes out looking like this. Okay? So I have my tea, and I could do this. I could put it into this cup, pour some hot water on it, right? Like this, it's just like a teapot, right? Like here, it's just like a teapot. But once I put it on this cup, it releases the tea into. So I put some hot water in. This is one way of making it. I put some hot water in, let it sit, and then when I'm ready to drink, I put it onto a cup. It releases the tea into the cup, right?
Okay.
That's one way. Another way you can do is through this tea diffuser. It has a little mesh thing in the middle here. You could either stuff the actual tea leaves in here, or you can put a tea bag or 2. So that's 2 ways of making it. And I made some earlier for you guys. So I'm going to give everybody a cup. And you know, most tea that you drink, if you drink it without sugar, it's going to have like a bitterish taste. But you'll be surprised that this one does not. So everybody come and drink my moringa. Now I'm not telling you that it tastes, it doesn't have a perfumey taste, but it doesn't have an unpleasant taste.
Let's see. This is my first time tasting this. Let's see.
Okay.
Cheers.
There you go. Your first cup of moringa. and there's much more where that came from. So
Wow.
There we go. Tumaringa. Tumaringa.
I can't wait to taste it.
not an unpleasant taste at all. And you can put milk, you can put sugar. I don't put anything in it. I just drink it black. But some people need a little help with some extra something. So
I already feel the calmness. It's very soothing.
is she being funny?
I do. No, I'm not.
I like doing some moringa.
No, moringa and moringa are two different
I
But that's the tea that everybody would hear me talking about, moringa
Oh,
tea. And I swear by this. I really do, because if you drink green tea, you can't have... Green tea is an acquired taste. And you got to get used to it, right? And it's very good for you, but you got to get used to that taste. With this, it doesn't have much of a taste. And it really, if I'm starting to have those hot flashes, or my nerves is a little afraid, I drink some moringa tea. It calms me right down. It really, really, and it gives me energy. I have a lot of energy. So
it has a lot of benefits.
a lot of benefits. You can look it up online, but it has a lot of benefits, and I swear by it. I really swear by it. There's no jitteriness to the feeling. Again, like I said, even the stalks have medicinal values.
It has a very familiar taste, though. Like I tasted before.
You tasted it before?
Yeah.
There's a kind of cousin to it in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of it, but there's a kind of cousin to
My
it.
mother used to drink this a lot. Every night. Every morning.
And now we know a lot of these people didn't have as many hot flashes as my generation is
I never
getting.
heard her talk about hot flashes until... I never knew about hot flashes until I started getting them. Which is like a couple of years ago.
Because your mom was drinking this, so she probably...
She didn't
Suddenly,
suffer.
I don't know what happened. They just disappeared. I don't have them anymore. I don't know what they do. I don't do anything in particular, but
All right.
The face.
they're gone.
Yeah. And
Well, thank you for joining this edition of Caribbean House Talk, where, again, we like to bring you issues from the funny to the curious to the carefully serious. So join us in the next edition of Caribbean House Talk.
thank you.